Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chill English Channel, your calm place for learning English through meaningful conversations. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jake. We're very happy you're joining us today.
Today's topic might sound a little strong at first, but we think it's an important one.
That's right. Today we're talking about something many people struggle with, often without realizing it.
The topic is stop showing weakness.
Now, before we begin, let's make something clear.
We're not talking about hiding your emotions.
We're not talking about pretending everything is perfect.
And we're definitely not saying that asking for help is a sign of weakness.
Not at all. In fact, being honest about your struggles often requires a lot of courage.
So what do we mean by weakness?
We're talking about the habits and behaviors that slowly make us less confident, less disciplined, and less effective in life.
The kinds of habits that keep us stuck even when we want things to change.
And the interesting thing is that weakness rarely appears overnight.
It usually grows little by little.
Through small decisions.
Through repeated excuses.
Through avoiding things that make us uncomfortable.
Before we continue, we'd like to ask you a question.
Is there something in your life that you've been avoiding recently?
Maybe it's a difficult conversation.
Maybe it's a goal you've been postponing.
Maybe it's a habit you know you should change.
Whatever it is, keep that thought in your mind while we talk today.
Jake, when you hear the word weakness, what comes to mind?
Honestly, my definition has changed a lot over the years. When I was younger, I thought weakness meant being afraid or feeling uncertain.
I think many people believe that.
Yes, but now I see it differently. Today, I think weakness is repeatedly choosing comfort when growth requires effort.
That's an interesting definition.
Because comfort isn't bad by itself. Everyone needs rest. Everyone needs moments of peace. The problem begins when comfort becomes our highest priority.
When comfort becomes more important than growth.
Exactly. That's when people start avoiding challenges, responsibilities, and opportunities.
And sometimes they don't even notice it's happening.
That's what happened to me for a while. I wasn't lazy, but I had become very comfortable.
What did that look like?
I followed the same routines every day. I avoided situations where I might fail, and whenever something felt difficult, I usually found a reason to postpone it.
Did it feel like a problem at the time?
Not really. That's the dangerous part. Most unhealthy habits don't feel dangerous in the beginning. They feel comfortable.
That's such a good point.
Looking back, I realized I was spending more energy avoiding discomfort than actually improving my life.
I think many people can relate to that.
Definitely. Sometimes we tell ourselves we're waiting for the right moment.
Or waiting until we feel ready.
Or waiting until we feel more confident.
But often, those moments never arrive.
Exactly. Weeks become months and months become years. Meanwhile, nothing changes.
Let's teach our listeners an important word here.
Good idea.
The word is avoidance.
Avoidance means staying away from something difficult instead of facing it directly.
For example, I used avoidance to escape uncomfortable situations.
Or, avoidance may feel good today, but it often creates bigger problems later.
That's a sentence worth remembering.
I think so too.
Another thing I've noticed is that many people rely too much on motivation.
I used to do that all the time.
Really?
Absolutely. I thought successful people were always motivated. I assumed they woke up every morning feeling excited and ready to work.
But that's not how it works.
Not at all. Some days people feel motivated, other days they don't. The difference is that disciplined people continue taking action anyway.
That's an important distinction.
Because motivation is temporary, it comes and goes. If you depend on motivation for everything, your progress becomes unpredictable.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is discipline.
Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it.
For example, discipline helped her stay focused on her goals.
Or success often depends more on discipline than motivation.
That's one of the most valuable lessons I've learned.
And once you understand that lesson, you begin to see weakness in a completely different way.
Because you realize that weakness is often not a lack of talent or intelligence.
It's usually the result of habits that slowly move us away from growth.
And one of those habits is far more common than most people realize.
Before the break, we talked about how weakness often develops through small habits rather than dramatic failures.
That's right. And one of the most common habits is something almost everyone does from time to time:
What's that?
making excuses.
That's an uncomfortable topic.
It is, but I think it's important because excuses can sound very reasonable.
That's true. Most excuses don't sound like excuses when we're making them.
Exactly. They often sound like explanations.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine someone who wants to improve their English. They might say, "I'm too busy right now," or "I'll start practicing when I have more time."
Those statements sound completely reasonable.
Sometimes they are, but if the same explanation continues for months or years, it may not be an explanation anymore. It may be an excuse.
I think that's an important distinction.
Strong people and weak people both face obstacles. The difference is often how they respond to those obstacles.
In what way?
One person looks for solutions. The other person looks for reasons why nothing can be done.
And over time, that difference becomes very significant.
Absolutely, because our mindset influences our actions, and our actions eventually shape our lives.
Let's teach our listeners an important word.
Good idea.
The word is obstacle.
An obstacle is something that makes it more difficult to achieve a goal.
For example, financial problems were a major obstacle.
Or, every obstacle taught him something valuable.
That's a useful word because everyone encounters obstacles in life.
Definitely. The question isn't whether obstacles will appear. The question is how we respond when they do.
Another habit that can make people appear weak is constantly blaming other people.
That's a big one.
Why do you think people do that?
Because blame feels comfortable. If everything is someone else's fault, then we don't have to take responsibility.
Responsibility can be uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable sometimes. It forces us to examine our own choices and behaviors.
But it also gives us power.
Exactly. That's what many people miss. Responsibility doesn't just create pressure, it also creates control.
Explain what you mean.
If I blame everyone else for my problems, then I'm basically saying that my future depends on other people.
That's true.
But if I accept responsibility for my actions, then I can start making changes immediately.
I really like that perspective.
Me too. It changed the way I approach challenges.
Did there come a moment when you realized you were blaming things outside your control?
Definitely. I used to blame circumstances for almost everything. I blamed lack of time, lack of opportunities, and sometimes even bad luck.
And what changed?
I started asking a different question. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" I started asking, "What can I do about it?"
That's a powerful shift.
It really is. The second question focuses on action instead of frustration.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is responsibility.
Responsibility means accepting that your actions and decisions have consequences.
For example, taking responsibility helped her grow as a person.
Or, responsibility often creates opportunities for improvement.
That's a sentence worth remembering.
Definitely.
You know, another sign of weakness that people rarely talk about is the inability to handle criticism.
That's interesting.
Because everyone says they want to improve.
But improvement usually requires feedback.
Exactly. And feedback isn't always comfortable.
Sometimes it can be difficult to hear.
Very difficult, especially when someone points out a mistake we've made.
How did you handle criticism when you were younger?
Honestly, not very well. I often became defensive.
I think many people can relate to that.
When someone criticized me, I immediately wanted to explain myself. I wanted to prove that I wasn't wrong.
That's a natural reaction.
It is. But eventually, I realized that being defensive was preventing me from learning.
Because you were protecting your ego instead of listening.
Exactly.
That's not always easy to admit.
No, it isn't. But growth often begins when we're willing to hear things we don't necessarily want to hear.
Of course, not all criticism is useful.
That's true. Some criticism is unfair, inaccurate, or simply unhelpful.
So, how do you know the difference?
I try to focus on whether there's something I can learn from it. Even if the criticism is delivered poorly, there may still be a valuable lesson hidden inside it.
That's a mature way of looking at it.
It's something I'm still learning.
I think we all are.
The truth is that strong people aren't people who never receive criticism. They're people who know how to learn from it.
That's a great point.
And the same idea applies to failure.
Ah, failure. That's something many people fear.
Including me.
Really?
Absolutely. For years, I was afraid of failing because I thought failure would make me look weak.
But eventually, your perspective changed.
It did. I started noticing that most successful people had failed many times before achieving anything meaningful.
That's often true.
The difference was that they didn't allow failure to define them.
They treated it as information.
Exactly. They treated it as feedback.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is resilience.
Resilience is the ability to recover from difficulties and continue moving forward.
For example, failure helped him build resilience.
Or, resilience grows through challenges.
I love that sentence because it reminds us that resilience isn't developed during easy times.
It's developed during difficult times.
That's right. Every challenge gives us an opportunity to become stronger.
Assuming we're willing to learn from it.
Exactly.
Another thing I've noticed is that many people confuse confidence with strength.
That's a very common misunderstanding.
Why do you think that happens?
Because confident people often appear strong from the outside. They speak clearly, make decisions quickly, and seem comfortable in difficult situations.
But appearances can be misleading.
Very misleading. Some confident people are strong, but some are simply good at appearing confident.
So, what's the difference?
Real strength isn't about looking confident, it's about keeping your principles when things become difficult.
That's deeper than confidence.
Much deeper. Confidence can disappear when circumstances change. Character tends to remain.
That's an important distinction.
It really is. Because if your strength depends entirely on feeling confident, you'll struggle whenever doubt appears.
And doubt appears in everyone's life.
Even the most successful people experience doubt sometimes.
So maybe strength isn't the absence of doubt.
I don't think it is. I think strength is continuing to move forward despite doubt.
That's a powerful idea.
And once you understand that, you begin to see weakness differently as well.
Because weakness isn't always obvious.
Exactly. Sometimes it hides behind excuses. Sometimes it hides behind blame. And sometimes it hides behind behaviors that seem completely normal on the surface.
In fact, one of the most damaging examples of that is something people do every day without even noticing. So far, we talked about the hidden forms of weakness that often go unnoticed.
That's right. And one of the most common examples is something people do almost every day.
What is it?
Seeking comfort all the time.
That's interesting because comfort doesn't sound like a bad thing.
It isn't. Comfort becomes a problem only when it starts controlling our decisions.
Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. Imagine someone who always chooses the easiest option available. They avoid difficult conversations, difficult tasks, and difficult challenges.
At first, that might seem harmless.
Exactly. In the short term, it feels good. It reduces stress and allows you to stay in familiar situations.
But over time, there's a cost.
A very big cost. You stop developing new skills, you stop building confidence, and eventually you begin doubting your ability to handle challenges.
Because you've spent so much time avoiding them.
That's right. Strength grows through resistance, not comfort.
That reminds me of something I once heard.
What's that?
Someone said that every time we avoid a challenge, we teach ourselves that we're not capable of handling it.
That's a powerful idea.
And the opposite is true as well.
Exactly. Every time we face a challenge, even a small one, we gather evidence that we're stronger than we thought.
Let's teach our listeners an important word.
Good idea.
The word is capability.
Capability means the ability or skill needed to do something successfully.
For example, she discovered capabilities she never knew she had.
Or, challenges often reveal our true capabilities.
That's a great sentence.
I think so too.
Another habit that can make people appear weak is constantly seeking validation.
That's becoming increasingly common today.
Why do you think that is?
Because we live in a world where feedback is everywhere. Social media, comments, likes, opinions, people are constantly judging and evaluating each other.
And it can become addictive.
Very addictive. Some people begin measuring their value based on how much approval they receive from others.
That's a difficult way to live.
It really is, because no matter how much approval you receive, it never feels completely enough.
And people's opinions change all the time.
Exactly. If your confidence depends entirely on other people's approval, your confidence will always be unstable.
So where should confidence come from?
I think the strongest form of confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself.
That's interesting.
Think about it. When you tell yourself you're going to do something and then actually do it, you build trust in yourself.
Just like trust in any relationship.
Exactly. The relationship you have with yourself works in a similar way.
The more promises you break, the harder it becomes to trust yourself.
And the more promises you keep, the stronger your self-respect becomes.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is validation.
Validation means approval, recognition, or acceptance from other people.
For example, he constantly looked for validation from others.
Or true confidence does not depend entirely on validation.
That's definitely worth remembering.
You know, one thing I've learned over the years is that strength doesn't always look impressive.
That's very true.
People often imagine strength as something dramatic.
Like making a huge speech or taking a huge risk.
Exactly.
But real strength is often much quieter than that.
What do you mean?
Sometimes, strength is waking up early when you don't feel like it.
Sometimes it's staying calm during a difficult conversation.
Sometimes it's admitting that you made a mistake.
Or taking responsibility instead of making excuses.
Exactly.
Those moments may not look impressive from the outside.
But they build character on the inside.
And character matters much more than appearances.
I completely agree.
Looking back now, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about strength and weakness?
Honestly, I've learned that strength isn't something you suddenly achieve one day.
It's a process.
Exactly. It's built through hundreds of small decisions. Every time you choose responsibility over excuses, courage over avoidance, or action over procrastination, you become a little stronger.
And weakness works the same way.
Unfortunately, yes. Weakness is also built through repetition. The habits we practice every day eventually become part of who we are.
That's why small choices matter so much.
Definitely. People often underestimate the power of small actions.
They focus on big results.
But big results usually come from small actions repeated consistently over time.
Let's teach one final vocabulary word for today.
The word is consistency.
Consistency means continuing to do something regularly over a long period of time.
For example, consistency helped her improve her English.
Or, small efforts become powerful through consistency.
That's a lesson that applies to almost every area of life.
I think so too.
Whether you're trying to improve your health, your career, your relationships, or your English, consistency is often more important than intensity.
Before we finish, let's do a little speaking practice.
If possible, try answering these questions out loud.
First question, what is one habit that makes people weaker over time?
Second question, have you ever used excuses to avoid something important?
Third question, what challenge are you currently avoiding?
Fourth question, what is one small action you can take this week?
And fifth question, what does real strength mean to you?
Try answering with complete sentences and use some of the vocabulary we practiced today.
Speaking out loud is one of the best ways to build confidence and fluency.
And meaningful topics like today's conversation help you practice English while reflecting on your own life.
Before we end, let's quickly review what we talked about today.
We discussed avoidance, responsibility, discipline, resilience, validation, capability, and consistency.
We also talked about excuses, criticism, failure, confidence, and self-respect.
Most importantly, we explored the idea that weakness is often created through habits rather than circumstances.
And strength is usually built the same way.
One decision at a time.
One challenge at a time.
One act of responsibility at a time.
You don't need to become a completely different person tomorrow.
You don't need perfect confidence.
You don't need perfect conditions.
You only need the willingness to take the next step.
Because every time you choose growth over comfort,
You become a little stronger than you were before.
and that's our question of the day. What is one habit you'd like to replace with a stronger one?
Write your answer in the comments.
You can begin your sentence like this. I would like to replace blank with blank.
We always enjoy reading your thoughts.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
And remember, learning English is a journey.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.